All right, welcome back. And from this lesson, we're going to take a look at some of the specific UI design examples and see how do we implement it from scratch. All right, so the first one we're going to show is a login screen. This is a very simple, clean kind of login screen. And let's actually see how to approach this. I explained that we want to use the top-down design. Okay, so basically following the same approach, we could actually use, let me borrow the line back over. And then we want to kind of see what is the major component here, right? So obviously this screen here, we got some of the image at the top. There's some middle area. We got a bunch of sections, including the button. And then at the bottom, we also got some of the logo tags and some other buttons to click for the social media icons, right? So that's kind of the basic idea for the whole design. And then to do that, we could actually start with this top level. And then if you think about what each level is, and then this one is very easy. We just need an image. This part here, obviously, we need a bunch of a lot of columns. So we got a column. And inside the column, we have a text for the login. We have a text field to input, another text field for password. Finally, we got another text and also a button. Okay, so basically we just need a kind of column right here. Finally, this one here, that's when we need a row, right? Because this one is horizontally, so we got a text, button, and button. All right. So this is the major component for this one. Of course, the whole thing here will be contained as a column. All right, so to do the top-down design, okay, so this is the high level. You kind of figure out each section. You also need to figure out the kind of a percentage for each area. Like this one here, probably I would say it looks like this one takes the majority of space, and then this one second, and this one third, right? So if we assign that, maybe this one, if we say half the screen, this one maybe take 40%, okay, and this one take 50%, and then finally this row actually take 10% of the whole space, right? So if you got this kind of a design, and then let's actually start to implement it from scratch. All right, so keep this design in mind. So coming back to my code, and I'm gonna start create a brand new screen so that we can get familiar with our approach. All right, so I'm gonna go here into the library folder, a new Dart file. I'm gonna call this login page. All right. And I showed you last time, you can do stful to create this code template. I'm going to call this a login page. And then don't forget about importing the material design. All right, and then you got this ready. Another thing you should do is replace this one with a scaffold. It's always the easiest way to get things started. All right, so coming back to the design, this time we don't need the top bar, we don't need the floating button, so I'm not going to put those. So all we need is just a body part. Okay, for the whole body part, and we just need a column. Okay, so let's actually start with a column. Column had children, and the children is where we put a list of items here, widgets. Right, so you need an image, you need a column, you need another row, right? So that's the first level children we put here. So let's actually put them. So we need an image. All right, and then we need another column so that we can group them. Column has children, and then we need a row. All right, so that's how we can split all the screen into the 3 top level sections. And let's start to test this one here. Okay, so I'm gonna open my emulator, and then let's actually start this login page. So I'm gonna go back to my main Dart. Probably this time I'm gonna just do a very simple change. I will just use one of the button here. Let me try to rerun the app. Make sure we still know right here. Okay, this is already kind of a sample screen for the login, similar. Okay, but we're going to redo this whole thing. So I am going to start to change the entry point of the app. Okay, so I'm going to basically maybe use one of the button here to trigger it. Okay, so this confirm button here, right here. Okay, so I'm going to find it, confirm button. This is a flat button right now. When you press the button, it's just increase the counter, but I'm gonna do the navigator again. I'll just use this one here, and this time I'm gonna go to the login, my own login screen. All right, so rerun the app, click on this button. All right, so that brings me to the next screen, and then it shows a lot of errors, obviously, because everything is empty. We don't have an image yet, we don't have everything, so it looks like it's a complaint that the image is empty, so we can't do that without an image. So let's actually do image here, and then we do the network image. So I'm gonna do this image, network image. All right, and inside I'll just put the URL, and then I can just use maybe I'll use a different one this time. I'll just use a little image. So image placeholder. All right, and then let's actually do a better one with maybe a brand as the placeholder. So maybe we'll try, let's actually see if which one works better. All right, so let's actually try which one. Yeah, looks like a good one, right? So let's actually try this one here. I am going to copy the image address, make sure this one works, and then coming back to my app. All right, place it here. All right, so let's rerun the app and see if that's going to fix the issue. Very good. So this one actually does give us the initial layout, right? So if you open this layout inspector, all right, so as you can see, right now what we have is one image here, and then there's a column and there's a row, right? But then column and row don't have anything. Let's actually start to put things inside. So to start with here, and then we need a text for login, right? So let's actually do a text. All right, refresh, rerun app. We got a login text. And for the row here, okay, I'm gonna basically put a little, this is a little logo here at the end, another text. App, logo. All right, so we got this is 3 components. I don't need to put all the information right now because I want to focus on the top level, because the first step is I want to divide this whole screen into the right portion, 40%, 50%, and 10%, so that I have the right space to do the further development. All right, so let's actually try this. In order to add the percentage, I already showed you. In column layout, you can do expanded, right? So I can do expanded. So expanded to a child, and then you put this image inside. All right, and same thing you can do here for the column. And then to make it simpler, you can use this shortcut. Move your mouse over here. You can see they don't have expanded, but then they have something called a wrap with widget, right? So you click on wrap with widget, and then you can just type it. It's called expanded, and it does the same thing. All right, so, and now we'll do the same thing for the row. Okay, so to wrap it with expanded. All right, so let's refresh the page, run it, and now you can see everything has been expanded. So this is the image part, this is column, and then this is the row. Right now they're all expanded to the whole screen, so they share the screen, each take 33%. But we want this one to take 40%, and then we want this one to take 50%, and then the last one only take 10%. And if I do this one, rerun it, as you can see, it's totally, reorganized by the proportion we gave. All right, so this is called top-down level. So first step is let's actually get this one done so that you can fill in all the other information. The good thing about doing this is it's not going to mess up each other's area, because all the containers got a fixed space, and then you just basically play around whatever you need for each space, right? So let's keep going. So we got an image, we got a login button here, a login text here, as you can see from the app. Next thing we should do is 2 text boxes. We actually did that before. Another text, another button. So these are all easy, right? So let's actually try this. So we need to add a text field. Okay, that's the one we actually did last time. And then we can actually still borrow the code from earlier. I think we did a text field right here. Okay, let's actually borrow this one here. We got a password and email. So let's actually copy this text field, And you can also find that from the Flutter documentation. Okay, so this one is for maybe email. Okay, let's rerun it, and I got an email. And let's actually do one more for password. For password, and then you gotta make sure this one is true, so that you don't see the actual password. All right. So after that, I think we need another text. Go to the design. It says something called forget a password, right? Forgot a password. Finally, you also have a button, login button. So I'm going to use the raise button again. Child, text, login, unpressed, and action here. All right, so come back here, run the app, forgot password, login, and everything has been lined up. All right, finally, let's come back to a role. The role will need a text. We also need 2 social media buttons, right? So we need some kind of icon button. So let's actually Google how to do the icon button, Flutter icon button. All right, so there should be some examples we can use. All right, something like this. Okay, looks like this is the icon button, and they just use icon button and icon, something like this, right? So let's actually try this one here. All right, so we need an icon button. Again, just all this example, you can find it from the documentation, and then just try it by yourself. Something called icon. Icon, you do icons, and then I don't know if we have the social media. We don't have that one, but I'm going to use just some default one to just simulate it. Okay, so basically come back here. I'll just put some kind of icon here, maybe a book icon. All right, let's see the example. Oh, there is an icon class. So we need to do icon class. All right, let's run our app. Okay, so there's a little icon, and we need another one. So this time we change to something else, maybe computer. All right, so refresh. Again, you can definitely bring your own icon as assets, images. Here, I'm just gonna focus on the layout itself. Okay, all right, so we got this one here also ready. So that's how you do the icon button. And then you can also do the unpressed so that you can enable the button. Unpressed. And then run this one more time. I think now the button, you can click on that, right? So just like your social media button. All right, so that's the first pass here, right? So we go from the top level 3 sections, gave them the space, and then put all the elements, and then you got an initial starting point. And then after that, you would just dive into each section to make more changes to make it look nicer, right? So for example, first one is the image. Image, what we want to do is just kind of take the whole space right here. It looks like we don't want any kind of margin. There's some kind of border here, right? So though we can definitely Google how to do that. The first thing is we want to fill in this whole image in. So let me show you here. If you open this, all right, so the top level here is all space given to image, but the image is not using all of that. The reason is because the image size may not fit this perfectly. The image is not high enough to fit everything. To solve that problem, and you can actually do some kind of image scale. All right, so if you Google Flutter image scale, all right, so that will show you how you can actually scale the image for different purposes. Okay, here I'm going to show you can do something called a fit center, fit end, this type of scale. Let's just look at some other examples. When you try to scale the image, and let's see if there's some kind of a code example, something called a fit. All right, let's try that one. I think that's the kind of way you will need. So go here. That's the image, right? So inside the image is to specify the image source. You can also specify another attribute. I do a comma, something called a fit, and I will do like a center fit, and the class is called, I think it's called a box fit. Box fit, yeah. So let's try the cover. I think that's going to automatically scale everything. Hopefully that works. Let's run it. All right, as you can see, this one does a very popular way to scale it. What it does is actually it's zooming the picture so that it can fit all the size. And then it will just take all the space you have. There are different ways to scale it, but you can look more documentation about the box fit and some other options. All right, so that's kind of how you do the first part here. Okay, it's just an image at the top. And now after that, let's look at the design. We need to log in here with a bigger font size, right? So let's go here. This is our text. And we already talked about how you specify the style. So let's try this again. Do a style, text style. Text style, there are a lot of things. Font size, I can do 30 and try to run the app. All right, so a bigger one. And then let's also do I think there's the font weight. You can do bold. Yeah, that's a little bit bold. And then, for the font, this one is too close to each other, right? So we need to add some margins. So to the margin, remember we use a container. So I'm going to wrap this one with a container. And then I choose margin. All right, so for some reason, this is not auto suggesting things. All right, so let me see if I miss anything here. So let's run this one here. So we got a container working, and then it should give us a margin. Anyway, we can type it. Edge insets dot only. All right, this one is I'm gonna do the top margin. Maybe I'm gonna give 20, and then bottom also give 20. So if I do this one, all right, so we'll add some margin here above and below the login, right? So what else? So let's go here, and then there are two boxes here. They also need some margin. And also you see this input box is not really touching the left and right. So it's all about margin. So let's try this as well. So for this text field, all right, add a margin. So you need to do a container as well. For the container here, let's do the margin. Okay, this time it shows up. Edge, insets. You can do all, you can do only. Only will be better. Maybe it's easier for you to control. I'm gonna do the left, maybe 30, right, 30. Okay, so let's run this. All right, so that's how you can add a margin to make this one shorter. So I'm maybe do a 35. Okay, and also I need a bottom to be also 10. Maybe also add a top of 10. Try this. All right. So same thing, I can apply it to the password field here. We just do a container margin edge dot insets. Sorry, edge insets only. I'll do a left 35, right 35, and top 10, bottom 10. All right, so try this one here, and then you got these two boxes lined up. All right, so that's how you can make it work. So next one is our little text forgot a password. So this one is just centralized, just maybe change the color. So bring it back. I'm gonna change it to red. So style, text style. And then there's a color. I'm gonna use a red. Okay, run this one here. Got a little red here. And then if you want to add some margin as well, go ahead and go here, wrap with a container, you do a margin, and this one is again same thing. Maybe I would only do the top 10, and then bottom maybe 20. All right, so run it again, so things are lined up, right? And then finally you got this login button. All right, login button is basically one of the biggest one, so you could actually change the size here. All right, so for the login button, and if you want to make it a little bit bigger, there might be different approach to do. For now, let's actually just try to align and center everything. So let's actually open this thing here. So let's actually focus on the middle part here. Okay, so the text, two text field, and then text, and then the button. So there's still a bunch of space right here, right? So what we want to do maybe is to put this button exactly in the middle part here. Okay, that's probably what we want. And then you might be wondering, so how do we do that? This is the column, right? So it's actually pretty simple, and you can actually just give all the space to this button at the end once you figure out all of these spaces. So that this one to take more of a space. All right. So with that, you can try expand it. Like this one, I'm gonna wrap it with expanded. All right, if you do something like this, let's see what happens. All right, so this button basically, takes the whole space, right? But obviously this is not what we want, and then this is too close, and that solution is to make a container, right? So let's do this one more time, and let's bring this action button here. Wrap with container. Again, inside container, you can do margin. And then I'm going to do top margin, I'm going to do more 20, and then bottom margin 20. All right, so that's how you can slow and make this lower. So go back. All right, and if this is still not good enough, do more 30 and 30. All right, so but then that actually centralized this one. And you want to make it wider, so we could definitely also try to add a width, see if that works. So if I want to add a width 200. All right, so that's how you can make the button wider, and obviously you can also set the height. All right, just whatever works best for your case. All right, so but the container is very useful to control exactly that one element in terms of margin, width, and height. All right, so that's how it works. This is the login button. All right, and finally we go to the row here. Okay, this one almost the same as the one we need right here, but then we need to centralize everything. There's a different way to do it because this is the row, and the row has something called main axis alignment. So I talk about this one here for row because vertically this is the main axis, just like your axis. So you want to centralize that one here in the center. So we can do this one here. All right, and then run it. So everything will be centralized. So this is how it works, right? And then you can also do the cross axis alignment. This is going to do that vertical. All right, so I think it's already aligned center, so you can't really see it. But then that's how it works, right? Put everything center. All right. Obviously, if you want to add more margin, feel free to do this one. For example, for this text here, I don't want to be too close to the icon, so I can just wrap that with a container. Oops, what happened here? Maybe because of the format here. All right, so I'm gonna wrap that with a container. Okay, so margin, I'll do the edge, insides.only. This time I'm only gonna do the right margin, maybe 10, just a little bit margin here. And then we'll run this again. All right, so add a little bit more margin. Okay, if you want more, maybe add a 20. Run it. All right, so that's how you can make it work. All right, so this is a kind of very quick go through about the whole layout and the widgets. All right, so as you can see, it's all the basics that we have talked so far: container, widgets, layout, we need row and column. If you can understand and master all of this, you can make most of the widgets. Of course, you're gonna come back to touch some of these little things, like how do we make this button with a round border here. You can always Google and find it. Okay, so for example, let's try this: Flutter raised button round corner. All right, so see how to make this one here. Let's see if I can find some good example. Yeah, this one gives you a very good example. So you could actually try doing something called a shape and then add this border. Let's actually try this. Pretty simple. And then add this one here. Okay, that's how you can add this shape inside, right? So let's try this one here, shape, and go back, find out the button, and our button is right here, login button. Now this is the actual button. So I'm gonna get inside and put a shape. All right, very simple, one attribute, and then bring this add back, and I'm gonna run it. And this one gave me a round button, pretty nice. And then the side is red, right? So you can also specify then what's the kind of the color for the whole button, something like this. So all of this, if you Google and then play around with the sample code, you should be able to find out. And then at that time, it's a good opportunity to kind of read the document to see how this one works, and then how to change some different parameters to make it look better. But most of the cases, some of the common cases, just Google it, and then you can find the sample code very quickly. All right, so this is one example we did for the login screen. All right, so pretty straightforward, very clean and nice, and definitely try it yourself and to see if you can make it look better.